Aye, Dreadwood. The name is Captain Charles Monty. Most of you know me as Charlie. I'm a boat captain specializing in the waters and maritime crime of Bluebell Quarry. For those of you who do not know, Bluebell Quarry is named after the family of weapon salesmen, mainly specializing in the Bluebell rifle. The quarry is quite big. The waters are blue and shine a bit green on a hot summer's day. The rocks that surround the water are bright white. That little blue gem is quite the paradise amongst these murky hills. It's surrounded by the same dark and bleak trees, but there is some lightness to the place. That is what I most enjoyed about it. Amongst other things, the chilly waters were full of mysteries. They call this place the Underwater Graveyard. There are shipwrecks, discarded bodies with their ankles chained to cinder blocks. The quarry will never give up its dead. Citizens of Dreadwood enjoyed the waters in the warm summer months. They'd come only when it was light and leave immediately as the sun began to disappear behind the trees. I'm no criminal, Dreadwood. I'm just a very scared old man. My job was night watch. I was to stay on a boat and look out for anything suspicious. I'd scare off the usual, or if I was paid enough, I'd turn a blind eye. However, one night it was particularly dark. The moon was in her newest phase, and there were hardly any stars. I set out on my little boat and lit an extra lantern. After a few hours, at about 3 a.m, I saw some movement along the coast. This spooked me, but I assumed it was just another murderer. I cried out, telling them to drop their dirty laundry elsewhere. I shined the beam of my flashlight to the coast, and I saw a woman. She was in a silky dress, her feet bare and a scarf covering her hair. Upon closer inspection, I saw that her face and arms were covered in toadstools. I was in shock. I froze completely. The woman tilted her head to one side, a sinister smile appearing on her face. Her eyes were completely black, but I could still see the amusement in them. To my horror, she stepped out onto the water. Yes, onto it. She walked on the water to my boat. I noticed her feet. They were pale, wrinkled hands supporting her as she walked. The hands came right out of the water and were attached to arms which were attached to the dead bodies that were under the water. Her grin was sinister as her bare feet stepped onto the deck of my boat, which seemed smaller than ever. Why did you think Jesus was the only one who was allowed to walk on water? She asked me, her voice almost a soft hiss. At this point, I had backed up to the railing. I wanted away from her. I wanted to run, but I was positive if I even thought about jumping into the water, the dead would drag me down to join them in the graveyard underneath. Then, I recognized her. You're Father Mackenzie's lover. The priest having a lover wasn't as under the radar as everyone thought. No one was surprised when his episode aired. Poor bastard. At the mention of his name, the woman growled, a sound coming deep from her throat. Then there was an expression of utter grief that flashed across her face, but that was quickly replaced with a hot anger. She was in my face in a second. I need you to find Leon Frisk and tell him that we found his brother. If he wants him back, he's going to have to join us in the trees. Before I could reply, she was gone. It was like a bad dream. Like everyone, I know Leon Frisk. Well, know of him. And I guess I can only hope that he is listening to this, because whatever that sea witch was, I wouldn't want to miss a message from her. I'm old now. I'm much too old for this town. I know too much. Knowledge isn't always a good thing. Stay ignorant, Dreadwood, and steer clear of those damned trees. Shh.
Dreadwood Press Radio is a podcast written by Arthur Edwards and produced by Dreadwood Productions. In this episode, the role of the captain was performed by Ian O'Neill. You can follow the podcast online on Instagram at Dreadwood Press Radio or Twitter at Radio Dreadwood. You can also visit our website, deepwoodproductions.com. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, or just want to say hi, you can send us an email at deepwoodprod@gmail.com. If you like the podcast and feel like you'd like to support it, you can do so on Patreon at Dreadwood Press Radio. Thanks so much for listening, and hey, stay safe out there. Until next time.